I'm your host K-Rec, and we're going to be reacting to the entire lore of Little Nightmares. Now, this is going to be a pretty long video. I might chop it up into sections, but for now, we're going to start off on Little Nightmares 1, and we're going to react to the entire lore of it. So, let's get into it.
I'm going to be telling the entire story of Little Nightmares. The games came out in this order, but I'll be going through them chronologically.
Let me see. 27. Wow, the first Little Nightmares came out 2017. How old was I? I was like 2017. I was like 8 years old. Was I? I think I was like 8 or 10. No, wait, if I was 10, no, I was like 8. Yeah, I was 8 or 10 years old. That's crazy. So, first Little Nightmares, Secrets of the Man, 3. Wait a minute. Oh, right. This isn't updated. Okay, I'm tweaking. It isn't updated. But, yeah. I remember that, 2017.
Logically, which is in this order. 4 characters, 4 stories. Let's start with the story of the girl in the yellow raincoat in Very Little Nightmares. The game takes place in The Nest, a mansion on top of a rocky cliff. The girl in the yellow raincoat wakes up in her hot air balloon, which has crash landed into the nest. After going through the attic, the girl sees a kid named Six, who quickly runs away after being seen. The girl encounters the craftsman, and it's heavily implied that he's been crafting dolls out of live children. She manages to free a kid from a cage, but sadly, the kid gets turned into a doll, as we will see later. The girl successfully eludes the craftsman while going through his workshops. She makes it to the living quarters of the nest, where she encounters the butler, who uses his telekinetic powers to hover around and carry out his chores. Six is occasionally seen wandering about, trying to escape on her own. Further into the living quarters, we meet the Pretender, the supposed owner of the mansion, and she's having a tea party with her dolls. The Pretender is seemingly very lonely, so she had set up a bunch of dolls in various rooms to give her the illusion of company. At the mansion's foyer, she yells at a doll before angrily dragging it outside. That particular doll was the kid that the girl rescued earlier. When the girl exits the mansion, the butler starts to chase after her. While running away from the butler, the girl happens upon Six again. The two of them briefly cooperate.
Wait, I'm confused, because isn't Six the yellow coat girl? I thought, because I was like, that's what Corey Kenton calls her, right? Like, Six, she calls him Sasha Six. I thought Six was the one in the raincoat. I'm confused.
To escape, after which Six runs off on her own. The girl makes it to the cliffside where she sees the Pretender mourning the loss of her doll. The Pretender starts to go after the girl down a very tall cliff. While getting away, the girl saves Six from falling to death. To return the favor, Six pushes a boulder onto the Pretender. But uh-oh, the Pretender somehow survived. So the girl and the Pretender fall into the water, and the girl's raincoat floats to the surface, confirming her death. But we see that Six survived the journey. We're going to be seeing a lot more of her. So that's the end of Very Little Nightmares. Let's move on to Mono's story in Little Nightmares 2. After having a dream/vision of a door marked with an eye symbol, Mono wakes up in a forest next to a TV. He finds a cabin and gets into the basement where a music box can be heard.
So I think, okay, that's what he already said that. So the games are like in reverse. Like this is a prequel to the first game in 2017. I didn't know that.
Mono breaks into the room where he's introduced to Six. Mono reaches his hand out to her, but she pushes past him and runs away. Six goes upstairs and tries to reach a handle to open the attic. Realizing that she can't reach it on her own, she decides to team up with Mono. The two of them grab a key from the attic and use it to escape the cabin. They alert the hunter, the owner of the cabin, as they sneak past him. The hunter pursues the pair until they're cornered into a shed. As luck would have it, there's a shotgun in the shed, so they shoot the hunter. The pair make it to a shore and ride on a wooden door, slowly drifting across the ocean until they arrive at the Pale City. While going through the abandoned buildings, a TV suddenly turns on. Mono is strangely drawn to the TV, and he somehow tunes the transmission until he's literally sucked into the TV screen. He tries to reach the door at the end of the hall, but Six pulls him out of the TV. Anyhow, Mono and Six make it to a school building. Initially, it looks empty, but further inside, they encounter the bullies, evil little children made of porcelain. A group of bullies ambush the pair, and Six gets dragged away. So Mono continues forward alone and comes across the teacher. Even the bullies, unruly as they can be, are scared shitless of the teacher, and they behave perfectly while in her presence. Mono sneaks around the classrooms, trying to elude the teacher as she uses her very extendable neck to look out for any disturbances. Mono makes it to the kitchen where he fights off a few bullies. Using a bully's head that popped off, he disguises disguises himself and walks past the cafeteria and the hallway undetected.
Is he dumping his head inside the thing? Man, bad kid.
The porcelain head eventually breaks, so Mono fights off the rest of the bullies he comes across. Mono finds 6 hanging upside down in the bathroom, so he kills the bullies responsible and cuts her loose.
Alright. It's crazy, bro. He was so nice to this stupid little
Back together, Mono and 6 continue to travel through the school. When they come across a bully who's busy drawing on the floor, 6 gets some payback.
Ooh, oh yeah, 6. Yeah, a lot.
6 and Mono try to sneak past the teacher as she's practicing the piano, but she spots them.
Let's say something.
They just barely escape the teacher through an air vent and they make it out of the school. 6 gets a little chilly because of the rain, but she finds a yellow raincoat. Let's just assume that this is the same raincoat from Very Little Nightmares and it's somehow found its way to the Pale City. Anyway, Mono and 6 turn up at a hospital. The hospital's main occupants are the patients, amalgamations of human remains and mannequin parts. Mono and 6 come up against the doctor, the one responsible for treating said patients. Mono and 6 are seen as an intrusion, so the doctor's dead set on catching them. As the doctor chases after them, the pair lure him into an incinerator and burn him alive. Burned alive is interesting to say the least. So they escape the hospital and continue to traverse the city. They encounter the viewers, residents of the Pale City that have become obsessed with the TVs, or more accurately, the TV's transmission. Mono finds another TV that draws him in, and this time he's able to finally reach the door at the end of the hall. By opening the door, he releases the Thin Man.
Okay, so that's
Six pulls Mono out of the TV, and shortly after, the Thin Man follows.
See, like, how did he not understand the sign? Bro, he just left Mono. Like,
6 tries to hide, but the Thin Man catches her and takes her away, leaving behind her glitched remains. Mono goes back to the TV, and he discovers he can use it to travel to another TV that's broadcasting the same transmission. With his newfound ability, Mono uses the TVs to travel through the city. He finds 6 trapped in another TV, and he tries to pull her out, but the Thin Man pulls her back in. The Thin Man comes out and goes after Mono, slowly but confidently hunting him down. Mono manages to get away from the Thin Man for a bit, but he sees the glitched remains of 6, which pushes him to stand his ground. Near the front of the signal tower, Mono takes off his paper mask and confronts the Thin Man. The two of them face off, and we see that their powers are very much alike. Their duel bends the very buildings around them. In the end, Mono is able to overcome the Thin Man, resulting in the latter disintegrating. And so, Mono finally makes it to the signal tower, the source of the transmission. Reality inside the tower seems to go by its own supernatural laws of physics, but he still manages to find his way through. He finds 6, who's turned into a grotesque monstrosity who's become obsessed with her music box. Mono figures out that the music box is responsible for corrupting 6, so he tries to destroy it. 6 fiercely protects her music box. She's more than willing to kill Mono, despite everything they've been through together. But Mono destroys the music box in the end, which does bring 6 back to normal. The fleshy insides of the tower start to cave in, so the two of them start to haul ass. While 6 is well ahead, the path to the exit crumbles, and Mono jumps to grab onto 6's hand. Instead of pulling him back up right away...
Man, I hated 6 for this. Oh my gosh, bro. Who would you like this person? Like, after all they've been through together, you just gonna drop them? Come on, man, bruh. I hate 6.
6 stares into Mono's face for a bit, and then she lets him go.
You can't! She's gonna let go! What? No!
Crazy.
Why would you do that? Why would you do that? I just saved you! I just saved you!
Tall.
So 6 makes it out of the signal tower, leaving Mono for dead. What the f***? Why the f*** did this just let him go after all the they've been through?
like this guy. I like you. Yes, bro. That stupid man. I didn't actually cuss. I bleeped it though. You guys. Yeah, I'm gonna edit that.
Glad you asked. We will get to that soon. Mono survives the fall, and he wanders the fleshy mass until he finds a chair. The fleshy walls start to close in, but then the environment reverts back to concrete. So he sits down and submits to his fate. As time passes by, Mono loses his childhood innocence and grows taller until he turns into the Thin Man himself.
It's all crazy.
Hence, the cycle begins anew. The Thin Man waits until he is inevitably freed by his younger self. Back to 6, after exiting the tower, she pops into some room. Her shadow self appears and gestures towards a pamphlet on the floor. The shadow disappears and 6's stomach growls with hunger. The pamphlet seems to be an advertisement for the mall, where Little Nightmares 1 takes place. So that's the end of Little Nightmares 2. Alright, let's talk about why 6 dropped Mono. There's a couple theories floating around, but
Okay, let me see. 6's shadow self-influenced her. That's cap. That one debunked. Because of her chronic hunger, 6 didn't want to involuntarily consume him. That's cap. She's been with him the whole time, and she has those little the mushroom things to eat. Why would she eat Mono? That's cap. That one debunked. In her eyes, 6 was betrayed by Mono when she was captured by the Thin Man. How? He saved you numerous times, and now you're claiming that that's a stupid theory. Debunked. Mono has been putting 6 in dangerous situations. 6 is merely following Mono's lead throughout the game. So you don't have to. You didn't have to do all that. Like, didn't 6 want to find a way out too? Exactly. That's why she followed Mono. Mono didn't force her. That's debunked. 6 saw no further need for Mono. That's the thing. That's the thing. See, 6 is selfish. All she cares about is herself. She's the biggest monster out of all of them. She's hence the name Little Nightmare. She is the nightmare, bro. She's the worst out of every single one of these monsters. Nobody likes 6.
I want to focus on the 3 I believe to be the most plausible. It's possible that they all contributed to her sudden betrayal. First theory, 6 saw Mono's face up close for the first time. Seeing the resemblance, 6 realized that Mono would eventually grow up to become the Thin Man, hence why she dropped him. Second theory, Mono destroyed 6's music box. Escapism is a pretty big theme in this game. For the viewers, their escape was the TV transmission, and they would quite literally do anything in order to keep watching. Although Mono had good intentions, he took away 6's source of comfort, which made her resent him. Here's a tweet from the official Little Nightmares 2 account that basically validates
Extracting someone from a fantasy can be deeply upsetting for everyone involved. Bro, get out of here.
his theory. I couldn't find the other tweet, but they also mentioned that while in the signal tower, 6's perspective was completely different from the player/Mono's perspective. While Mono was trying to save 6, this is what it could have looked like in her perspective.
Here's Johnny.
Third theory, 6 is a little bitch. In any case, as much as I hate how often this phrase is thrown around, it's really up to your interpretation. Anywhoosies, let's move on to the story of Secrets of the Maw, the DLC expansion pack of Little Nightmares 1. The game takes place in, you guessed it, the Maw, a submersible ship resort that caters to the rich elite. The protagonist of this story is the runaway kid. The kid wakes up in the prison's bedroom and starts his escape. He drops into the depths, where he has to evade an unseen but ever-present threat known as the Granny. She's supposed to look like this. Wow, what a beauty. The Granny is constantly in hot pursuit as the kid goes through the flooded areas. The Granny does eventually show her beautiful face and tries to break the platform the kid is on, but the kid pushes a TV into the water, which electrocutes her. The kid makes it back up, but he gets captured by the janitor. The janitor looks like this, by the way. The kid wakes up in a cage where we catch a brief glimpse at 6 before the kid is dragged away. He gets stuffed into a body bag on a moving hook, but he manages to break free. He falls onto a pile of coals and a few gnomes come to check up on him, but they scurry away when he gets up. The kid is now in the hideaway where he meets a number of gnomes. The gnomes are initially apprehensive, but when the kid embraces them, they quickly warm up to him and follow him around. They're so cute, look at them, they mimic his movements. As the kid goes around, gathering the trust of other gnomes, he makes sure not to catch the janitor's attention, who's evidently blind but has an acute sense of hearing. The gnomes follow the kid to the furnace room, where they're inexplicably compelled to start throwing coal into the furnace. When enough gnomes are gathered to feed the furnace, the kid takes the ascent using the transport coals. He passes through a gnome shelter and gets on top of an elevator, unknowingly almost coming into contact with the lady, the proprietress of the mall. The kid arrives at the residence, aka the lady's quarters. The kid sneaks past the lady, who's curiously brushing her hair in front of a broken mirror. As the kid collects the statues needed to proceed to the next area, he encounters the Shadow Kids. The Shadow Kids are very hostile and dangerous, but they can be fought off with the light. The kid finds the last statue, which grants him access to a secret room. Inside, the kid sneaks a peek at the lady unmasked, which she's not too thrilled about. The kid realizes he needs to get the f out, but unfortunately, the lady is one step ahead of him. The kid wakes up as a gnome, and he wanders through the guest area. He finds his way to a...
Did I forget the game or something? When did he turn into a gnome? Wow, okay, well this was like over 8 years ago, so I guess it makes sense.
A room where there's a lone sausage on the floor. So he looks at the sausage, and that's it. That's the end of the story. So if you haven't played Little Nightmares 1, you might be wondering, what's the big deal behind this last scene?
What? What are we talking about? That is not the end of the game. I thought the end of the game... What the heck? Was that a DLC then with 6 killing everybody? Let him explain.
Whoa.
Let him explain it. Let him explain it.
Oh, we'll get to that. So now we have reached the last story in the Little Nightmares timeline, which, funny enough, is the first game that came out. The main character of this story is, obviously, Six. The Little Nightmares comics show that Six was taken to the Maw against her will by the ferryman, but the after credits scene of Little Nightmares 2 seems to indicate that Six went to the Maw on her own volition. I don't know, but either way, Six ends up at the Maw. The story starts with Six having a dream about the lady.
Okay, a dream about the lady. Oh, okay.
She wakes up in a suitcase and begins her journey. As she makes her way through, she comes across a hanged man, which looks a lot like the Thin Man.
That does look like... That's crazy. That does look like the Thin Man. That's sad though, because that's mono and somehow, I don't know why, but he hung himself. But that's sad. But that's crazy too. Sad, yes, but it's crazy.
Probably just a coincidence. Six shows up at a children's bedroom where she first encounters the janitor. She sneaks past and makes it to a prison cafeteria where she starts to suffer from a crippling bout of hunger. A kid very kindly throws a piece of bread to her which she devours, and so she continues on her merry way. Six happens upon a few gnomes throughout her journey which, like the runaway kid, she can befriend by hugging them. After some time, she's struck with hunger pains again and she finds a meat in a cage and walks into the very obvious trap. Six wakes up in a room full of other caged children. She breaks out with relative ease, and she doesn't bother helping out the other children as she makes her way out. The janitor is a constant threat to Six as she passes through his territory. The janitor eventually corners Six into a room, but with his arm sticking through, Six gets the chance to slam the door on him. She leaves the janitor's lair by taking a ride on a meat hook. She lands on a mound of body bags where she's again hit with her chronic hunger. She spots a mouse caught in a trap and eats it. Kinda gross, but girls gotta eat. Six makes it to the kitchen where she encounters the twin chefs. Some of the meat they're preparing is strongly implied to be human meat. The chefs are not very hygienic and their dish handling is questionable at best. The chefs try to hunt down Six, but she narrowly escapes the kitchen on a moving hook. She eventually finds herself at the outer part of the maw where we see a long line of guests making their way inside. Her path takes her back inside the maw and we catch a glimpse of the lady who's overseeing the guests. Six reaches the dining area where the guests are devouring massive amounts of food entirely consisting of various meats. Even with all the food in front of them, the guests are overly fixated on trying to eat Six when she comes into view. A horde of guests amass and clamber after Six, but she manages to get away.
Ew, just...
Shortly after, Six is once more hit with hunger pains, and she finds a gnome who's offering a sausage to her. That's the runaway kid, remember?
Oh, it is the runaway. Okay. I'm seeing it now. Okay.
What do you think our heroine decides to do?
So he ate the runaway kid. She ate him. I thought that was a random gnome. Oh my god. Six is actually evil. No bull. It was a sausage. Why she eat the actual food? I hate Six more and more every time.
this bitch. To be fair though, she probably realized that the sausage is made up of human meat, but still though, kinda fucked up. Anyway, Six rides an elevator up to the lady's residence. She sneaks past the lady and grabs a key, after which the lady disappears, for some reason. Six makes her way through the residence and sees that all the mirrors are broken, except for one that's conveniently small enough for her to hold. With the mirror at hand, Six has a showdown with the lady. Turns out that the lady's own reflections cause some serious damage to her. After a couple hits, the lady is staggered and Six is once again overcome with hunger. So she takes a bite.
Wow. She's the real nightmare.
Six absorbs the lady's powers, becoming a little nightmare. Six returns to the dining area, and as the guests try to reach for her, she sucks the life force out of them.
They all die.
The doors to the exit open, and a group of gnomes show up to watch her leave. After the credits roll, we see Six at the deck, presumably waiting for a boat to pick her up. Kinda messed up how the most morally depraved character got the—
That's crazy, bro. She's so stupid. She the only one that got away. Dead, stuck in a time loop, runaway kids dead. Like, I hate people. Hate it.
best ending. But anyway, that's it. That was the entire story of Little Nightmares.
Okay, now we're gonna go on to the newest version. Alright, is this a video of it? Little Nightmares 369. Okay, we found one. 17 minutes, let's watch it.
The story begins with Lo, a small character in the large world of Little Nightmares, waking up from a nightmare, just like how Mono and Six woke up from nightmares related to them before. Lo is seeing a menacing mirror morphing into glass, reflecting the image of a window with light coming through. Right off the bat, we are introduced to Alone, a girl with a face mask on, covering her face, who has ginger hair poking through the sides. Lo also wears a plague doctor mask covering his face, so we don't know who these individuals truly are. It seems as if the duo were already on a journey and took a short respite in this building with mechanical contraptions, which strangely or even familiarly has many suitcases left behind. The duo seem to have taken this short respite from the harsh environment outside, which seems to be a dystopian wasteland. As soon as they leave this fragmented part of the construction, it becomes clear it is a broken off part of something larger, as there are many other fragments in the distance. There is a corpse of a guest who has a suitcase lying around, which clearly shows that this must have been some sort of an aircraft or vehicle which possibly crashed. It's kind of early to theorize now, as we will have a field trip on this game and theories. As if any of you know me and my channel, we started off from Little Nightmare series. But anyway, just a quick theory here. It seems as if this vehicle was used to transport the guests to the Maw, a dystopian safe haven where the guests are fed non-stop, a place away from the crazy world of Little Nightmares, where eventually they seem to meet their demise as well. If you remember from the ending of Little Nightmares 2, quick spoiler before we get into it. We see a leaflet advertising the place to the inhabitants of the Little Nightmares world, so it's possible that this vehicle was transporting some of those people to the Maw, which crashed midway, somewhere abandoned and lacking any life. A wasteland known as the Necropolis, or otherwise the City of the Dead. The Necropolis alongside the Maw and the Pale City, the place where Little Nightmares 2 predominantly took place, all are placed within the world of Nowhere, which is the land of Little Nightmares universe. It isn't clear if it is the entire world or just a small part of a bigger world Little Nightmares takes place in. Either way, Lo and Alone reach a wall, a big, intimidating wall, which goes so high to the point that we don't even see the end. It seems as if this wall serves as the first barrier or line of defense to the Necropolis, keeping things out, or maybe keeping what's inside from going out. The duo managed to infiltrate the wall quite easily by climbing a ladder fitting their size and going through a broken brick, which is even supported by wooden frames, depicting that little people like Lo and Alone, and like Mono and Six and the other kids, broke this brick and infiltrated in, even building a ladder for others to use. Alone uses a handy wrench that she can use to bash things, and Lo uses a bow and arrow for remote hits and throws. As soon as they enter the necropolis, the upside-down suspended wrapped-up corpses of many intruders or punished are a grim reminder of the harsh and cruel discipline in here. Not that any other place is friendly to these kids, who seem to be bred and made just to feed the populace, as we learned from Little Nightmares 1 and 2. There are also men turned into stone scattered around the place, which reminds us of the ever-watching guy in the very Nightmares and Little Nightmares 1, which turned kids or intruders into stone. To prove its presence even in this city of the dead, the ever-watching guy's symbol is imprinted on a platform, the very eye that was present in the Pale City run by the tall man and the maw run by the lady. We then come across a person that has been sitting in the attic under the scorching sun, being cooked and rotting away. This, alongside the turned into stone inhabitants of this little town, reveals that this used to be a prospering and living city with many inhabitants in it. There were merchants, houses and stores, which has now turned into an old, dead city. What could have caused this instant death in the city? What made them all die in their place and any living abandon it? By the looks of it, there was a wall, so they protected what was inside. But of course that was before things turned the way that they did. Eventually we encounter a colossal baby known as the Monster Baby. This entity destroys parts of the town, acting as a destructive force. It even inherits the ever-watching guy, turning people into stone, giving us a little traumatic memory of...
So wait, is that eye and the baby connected? Are the dots connecting here? Like, I'm not getting it.
How we turned into stone in the previous installments. So it is clear this Monster Baby was probably the cause behind the city becoming a shadow of itself, being dead and destroyed. Anyone who didn't manage to escape turned into stone, and the remaining people were crushed, eaten, or captured. That's when the Monster Baby, which is an animated half-broken doll, catches the duo in its hands and throws them down. While the duo lose their consciousness, Lo has a flashback where his face is uncovered, being in a padded room resembling the other rooms that were present in the previous installments on how kids were trapped and kept in these rooms. These kids seem to be used as resources in this universe, whether for food or other means. Eventually, the duo regain their consciousness and get back on their journey, which happens to be nighttime now, with the Monster Baby on their tail. That's when we see something interesting. Lo uses a mirror to teleport to another part of the city.
The mirrors. It's crazy. She wasn't scared of the mirrors the first time, y'all. The first time she was all for the mirrors. No, I ain't gonna lie. When I seen Lo come to that planet, she came after with the mirror crack. Kind of confused me. Please, guy. What's your name? Horror bro? Please explain this. Look at them, bro. They so cute, yo. Like, they so cute, man. Look at them.
This is exactly how Mono used TVs and transmissions to teleport and move. Spoilers of Little Nightmares 2 again, who turned out to be the tall man at the end of the game. So, is it possible Lo is another powerful entity who we will learn about at the end of the game? It also clearly indicates that he is associated to mirrors somehow. If you remember from one of the videos that I made about the comics, which were canon at first and then became non-canon, and now apparently they are canon again. Mirrors are powerful in the universe of Little Nightmares, and people can actually use them to teleport into world or conjure certain enemies or monsters. So back to Lo. Firstly, because he is haunted by these visions and memories, maybe from the future, just like how Six was tormented by the memories of her future, becoming the lady, and Mono being haunted by the memories of the Pale Man. He could possibly become something like them, but we don't know as of yet. Using the mirror to teleport, we arrive in a place which seems to be a kitchen leading to a larger place known as the Candy Factory. Seemingly candy is being produced here to lure children and trap them. The guests, or otherwise known as the herd in here, are being moved by a conveyor, being used for running certain tasks and manufacturing the candy. There's a cyborg-like multi-armed lady who...
They got these huge fat guys is on things is getting hinged across, like, what?
Runs this place, reviewing folders upon folders. There's a painting of this lady alongside some other chunky kids. Moving on, we see these hoisted up guests who are used as labor and workers. They are being hoisted by these conveyors, tasked with pulling levers. One is even being seen to watch the transmission, similar to the Pale City and the viewers who were mind controlled. In the process of finding a way out, the duo, who are constantly looking at a map, who seem to be on a journey to get somewhere specific, turn the CCTVs off, leading to the multi-armed lady becoming furious and detaching herself from her robotic bottom half and chasing after them like a spider. This lady is known as the supervisor, who has the responsibility of looking after the factory, which is littered by CCTV. She uses the workforce for this, the round-shaped entities resembling guests, who are now referred to as the herd, as they don't seem to have a mind of their own and do what is expected of them. Eventually, in an intense chase, when she is getting too close to capture Lo and Alone, they manage to activate a hydraulic press and crush her to death, seemingly. This allows the duo to use another mirror and teleport to another place. As Lo teleports before Alone, he starts getting worried that she got stuck in the mirror world. As he tries to investigate it, Alone suddenly comes out, which relieves him, hugging Alone in joy and ease of mind that she is still with him.
Come on. Yes. That scared me so bad when I first seen it. But she's good though. Look at that. It's so heartwarming, man. They really love each other, dog. Like real friends, bro. Real friends, bro. It was like this. It was like this.
So it seems as if Lo has the power to teleport through the mirrors, and he doesn't fully control his own power, so it's kind of limited and restricted how many people he can take with him through the portals, and how many times he can take the same person with him. Anyway, soon enough we come across something very familiar. Gnomes close to a furnace, reminiscent of Little Nightmares 1 DLC. If you remember, gnomes are the kids who turned into these entities through the power of the lady in the mall. That's when we enter the carnival area, with dolls and other terrifying beings. There is an entity listening to radio in a tent, as if radio is mysteriously active still, with people broadcasting. And eventually, we reach a room where we have a larger map than what we previously found in previous installments. The map reveals the world of Little Nightmares is a lot larger than what we thought, with many more lands and places. In this part of the game, we have minor enemies known as the puppets, who are animated puppets attacking us. The only way to destroy them is to crush their heads, as their bodies still move without a hit. The herd is also present in here, who are being used for whatever purpose. It could be for entertainment, performing chores, or anything else. We even find a little figurine of the lady here, symbolizing how every character is intertwined and related to each other. Eventually, we encounter the puppeteer, or also known as the Ken and Minikin. He is first seen sleeping on his armchair, passed out from watching some brain-rotting TV. Interestingly, he has a puppet on his hand, which is actually alive on its own and moves around, chasing after the protagonists. Mr. Ken is very conscious and well aware of his surroundings, and unlike the herd, he seems to be one of the major antagonists and overseers. He performs experiments on the corpses of the herd and traps the children, as we can find some in tiny cages. When one of the gnomes runs away, he
I don't get it. Why didn't they save those kids? I was so mad when they left them. They should have saved
captures it and bites it until it dies, revealing his cruelty against the gnomes and the kids, who are effectively the gnomes. At one point, we see a terrified child doing juggling to entertain Mr. Ken, someone who is clearly there against their will, with Mr. Ken throwing objects at them to juggle and play with, purely for his own entertainment. We eventually use a hot air balloon to escape the carnival and move on to another land, going across water. But disaster strikes, with a lightning bolt hitting the balloon and sending it crashing down. In the midst of all this, Lo has another flashback when he was trapped in the padded room, where he is hiding from an unseen character who checks on him on regular intervals. He hides some sketches that he did, throwing them into a retractable hatch. When the character leaves and he tries to retrieve his drawings, a bizarre thing happens. He finds a plushie in the shape of Alone. This is a big mystery to how this would be possible. How is there a plushie of her, and how did it end up in his room? Back to the aftermath of the crash, Lo and Alone reach the Institute. Within the Institute, we find reanimated corpses that attack the duo. We finally arrive at the very same room that Lo was held in, and where we saw the flashbacks. It seems as if he specifically was trying to find a way back here, using the map constantly to locate the place. The item, the important thing that he came for, is revealed to have been the plushie of Alone, the doll that he had in the past. This doll seems to have magical powers. It illuminates the path and reveals an alternate reality within its proximity. Maybe it shows the past of this place when it was functional and running, before it fell into disrepair and was finally abandoned. Within this place, we encounter the other main antagonist, a large stretching arm with an eyeball in the center of its hand.
When I first seen, bro, I did think it was the janitor.
Eventually, we encounter the person who has this long arm. It is a colossal being, as if being the director of this institute. Lo uses his arrows and shoots one of the eyeballs in the hand, and they get into an elevator which goes deep under the institute. In an intense battle, the duo manage to take down the director by tricking him into trapping himself by collapsing the ceiling over himself. In a flashback, we see something incredible and magical. It turns out Alone has been the plushie Lo found in his room earlier.
Right. He is the plushie. She was the plushie the whole time. Crazy. See, right here, this tripped me out. This tripped me out really bad. Picks up the crayons. Boom. Now she's just alive. This tripped me out so bad. Crazy. So it's like, is she a figment of his imagination or something? I don't get it. Or is she an actual doll? He has powers that are making her come to life. Like, I don't know, bro. Just tossing a theory out there.
He seems to have the ability to bring things into reality. That is why he hid his drawings. In the final part of the game, Lo tries to use a mirror as a way to teleport into a better world. It is the very first vision he actually had in the beginning of the game, a place where the sun shines beautifully through the window. As he tries to teleport into this reality, Alone doesn't want to go. She is afraid of something, and we learn why. Maybe she is afraid because of the last time they tried to go through the mirror, and it took Alone some time to go through, and she kinda got scared that she wouldn't be able to teleport alongside Lo. Apparently, Lo has the ability to create worlds and go to them through the mirrors. Or maybe he has the ability to teleport to certain realities that already exist. He wanted to go to this realm specifically after finding this plushie, which has the ability of showing the past. So maybe using this plushie alongside the mirror, Lo could travel to a distant past where life wasn't as dystopian as now. Unfortunately though, Alone knew travels through the mirrors are not very safe, and they could lead to
I ain't gonna lie, bro. This made me cry, bro. Cause like they worked together, they were so close, man. They were always hugging, holding hands. And like, just left her, man. And then watch.
her not successfully traveling. Maybe because she isn't real, or maybe because the main person is Lo. Either way, he convinces her and he uses the mirror, but unfortunately he manages to teleport, but Alone being left behind. As he is not there close to her anymore, she transforms back into a plushie. As we can see, she loses her hands, while a sketch falls out of her pocket, of them two being in a nice and safe house, something they had planned from before and hoped.
Oh, so he is creating these worlds, right? Because you'll see, but this house was what Lo teleported to, I'm assuming.
For. Unfortunately, only Lo manages to reach that reality. The house with the sun shining through, the place that was sketched on the piece of paper. Despite all that, he desperately tries to put the shattered pieces of the mirror back together to activate the portal again and bring her to this reality. But the story ends on this desperate note, and we don't know if he could ever do that again. So this is for the story of Little Nightmares 3. To be honest, it was a little lackluster compared to the other installments, and I would personally see this more of a spin-off or even a DLC. The story of Mono and 6 was a lot more engaging and deep, but I am still happy that we got another Little Nightmares out. Even better news, guys. There is a stop motion that is scheduled to come out, and there is a new comic series that has already been released. These comics go back to some of the best and most mysterious, terrifying characters, such as the Ferryman, so you know we'll be eating good this month. Stay tuned as my schedule is clear for Little Nightmares content for the next several days or weeks. It's been your host Star. Thanks for being here.
Okay. Here are my theories. So, number one, Lo can create worlds. and he has some kind of schizophrenic disorder or something where he draws these worlds and somehow he transferred to it. We have theory number 2. Lo somehow created everything else. He created Sasha, he created Mono, he created Baggy, the other girl, the doll. He created everything. And he's trying to escape from his own creation. Then we have the third theory that all of this was just a dream and Lo is just insane. But I have no idea, man. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you like, subscribe, comment if you need anything to say to me, and as always, think more, wreck less. Peace. This was such a sad video.